Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock. As always, I am here to present to you my topic for the day, which is how I find the time. And it's really going to be focusing on just some of the juggling that I managed to do, but more importantly, how I actually managed to do that. And hopefully inspire you to realise that actually you can get quite a lot done. It's about managing your energy and finding your motivation. And like I say, just a few tips to help you hopefully work on yourself as well as on your business and how that helps you. So I'm just going to get the slides moving along. Here we go. So typically, what does my day look like? There's a very quick screenshot of some of the things that are in the diary. What the gaps don't show you is normally where I'm running around fitting in so many things at the moment, and I don't need to tell anyone this. Your day will be probably pretty similar, especially if you have a situation as we have here in the UK, where we are currently still under lockdown. We are managing our children who are homeschooling. We might have older children that have their own needs and may have colleges and universities closed. You may even be living on your own, but actually struggling with somehow just getting through that day efficiently and not having anyone to talk to keep you on track and keep you motivated. And what this diary doesn't show you is that earlier this week there was one day when I actually finished way into the early morning, very, very late finish, early finish, whichever way you want to look at it, including today, which was a 6:15 a.m. start. I was already logged on because it was the way of efficiently getting more things done, and knowing that, as I say, having children at home now, our youngest is 9 years old. She also needs my time, and that means making sure some of my office work is done when it doesn't impact her when she's still in bed. So for me, that's a way of gaining about 3 hours of the day without feeling that I've missed out my time with my youngest. So some of my many hats, well, clearly I've just touched on me being a mother. So we have 3 children. Our eldest will be turning 21 this Sunday on Valentine's Day. So he's a millennium year baby. So a very unusual birthday for him. We have an 18-year-old who is in the middle of university applications. So there have been a couple of late nights and a couple of chunks of time during this week while she's been finalising her university applications. And that's another hat I end up wearing. I'm the one that has gone through her copy with her and tweaked some of the words and helped her get that structure down. Then there's the youngest that I've already explained. You know, she has some very specific needs, and I've got to say is finding this lockdown for us, which officially is the 3rd lockdown in the UK. If you can call it a 3rd lockdown, it does feel like it's been a continuum, and it hasn't ever stopped being a lockdown in various degrees. But however, she's finding this really, really tough, and she, you know, more than ever needs that reassurance that all is safe in her world, and that whatever is surrounding her, that, you know, the family that's around her and the activities that we do are actually helping her and keeping her motivated and, you know, emotionally stable, should I say. So it's quite demanding in their own way. You know, they're all, like I say, 3 very different needs as mum that these 3 children are presenting to me at the moment. And that has to come first. And it's interesting, the order that I have put this in is probably the order in which I tend to prioritise to a degree. And there's a reason for that. Married. As I was writing this, everything seemed to start with the letter M. So I've managed to make some of these slides deliberately with the letter M, just to keep a bit of humour in there. So married. So I have my husband, my delightful husband Azair, who many of you have seen during the week. And I would just like to say that Azair, we've just lost my slide deck for no reason. Bear with me while the slide deck just reappears, but I shall carry on talking. I always joke that behind every successful man is an extremely tired woman, and that would be me. I'm running around making sure that he's also kept on track. Yes, of course, we run the business together, so there's lots of conversations around things that are going on during the day, but also there is the relationship side of things, and it's making sure that even just doing the wifey things, whether that's organising a bit of lunch and making sure he's not starving in the studio. Guess who's doing all of that? So yes, there's definitely the importance in my life of our marriage and what is happening there. Thirdly, obviously, we are managing our business. So our team has steadily been growing, but certainly in the last year, we've streamlined many things. And I have mentioned this probably most weeks actually, as to just how radically our business has changed. To the observer, casual observer, it's going to look like it's overnight. I assure you it has not been overnight. It has been a lot of long, hard working days, nights since 2002 when we started the business to where we are today. So it's not actually an accident. It's deliberate progression in our business and how we are now growing. Our team, I think we're at 22 strong now, dotted around the world. And again, this, when you look at my diary, as I've just shown you a screenshot, that does not give you the almost 3D effect of what we are doing within the business. Many of our clients and our suppliers, or our staff if you like, are dotted around the world, which means that not only have we got a very busy working day, we're actually having to work across different time zones. So Zara and I are regularly, probably I would say on any one day, in 6 different time zones, depending on who we're working with. And again, when I'm organising my day, that's also something I have to factor in. Who do I need to give work to that's ahead of the time zone that I'm in, but also making sure that that tallies up with whichever supplier work customer work we're working on, whichever client we're looking after, because obviously if there are deadlines involved, we need to make sure that everyone's on the same page and making sure that we're going to meet those deadlines. So there's quite a complex set of time management that's needed around the actual business itself. And then finally is my role as the local mayor. So we are a town of, I think it's about 45,000, just shy of 45,000 people. And this is it is actually a voluntary role. I'm not paid to be the mayor, so I give my time freely and willingly as an individual, because for me, supporting my community and giving back to my community is a very, very big part of who I am and how I operate. And it's been an interesting time to become mayor, as I have halfway through a pandemic. I became the mayor in September 2020. And we're only 3-4 months in. It does feel like it's been a very, very long time. One of the key areas of being mayor traditionally has been the role of fundraising for charities. And again, I don't need to explain, I'm sure, how difficult charities are finding it to fundraise at the moment. And so as mayor, that role has not become any easier, because the practical problems around typically the events that mayors normally run fundraising events have just literally disappeared. We do not have access to them. But hey, I always like to think of the positive, and the reality is, being a slightly younger female mayor, which is not normally the norm. It's been a few years since we've had a female mayor locally. And also the fact that my day job is digital marketing, and I am used to getting my message out for the business in particular, obviously, and obviously for our clients. We encourage people to use digital platforms, social media, websites, video in particular. So it's almost as if the universe has delivered what was needed at this moment in time to make sure that the mayor's role still continues, and perhaps an opportunity through challenging times to find a way of how we're still going to support our communities, whether that's through fundraising, or slightly more difficult challenge now is actually supporting people regardless of charity work. I think certainly again in the UK, everyone I speak to is feeling very, very tired and very, very frayed around the edges now, and just finding it really quite hard to just keep almost putting one step in front of the other and realizing we can do this, 1 month at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, if that's what helps you. Just need to just keep pushing forward. And so I have been doing some innovative online events as mayor. I've got one coming up in March, because that side of my role of the person that I am is also really important to me and not neglected in any way. So that's giving you a little snapshot of some of the many things I get up to. I forgot to mention on there, I also volunteer in a number of things. I'm involved with some groups, but they all get done. So how do I get everything done? Well, before I get on to that, just to add to the many things we are doing, I'd just like to give everyone a reminder of our coaching program that we launched early this year, which is all about digital marketing. It's the Like a Boss series, and it's available for you to go and find out a bit more information on sfdigital.co/YouTube, and you can just go and have a little read up if you wish to about what the program entails. It basically allows you to have access to all the content that we have, depending on which program you end up with. You might go with the all-encompassing program, which is Google Ads Like a Boss. And you also get up to 4 coaching calls a week. You're welcome to join any or all of the coaching programs calls if you want to. There is no restriction on that, and it's a lifetime membership, so you can just continue coming to those coaching calls as much as you want to and get the benefit of that. More than just the topic specific information that you will get in those coaching calls, it's actually the camaraderie and support that you get from other people that are in the program, because often the challenges they may be facing in their business are probably your challenges too, and it's great to be able to share those challenges in a safe space. Everything's confidential, and it means that you might just get that support that you were looking for that can be really hard to find, especially the way that we are all having to work at the moment. So do take a moment to have a little look at that. Back to the topic in hand. So how do I manage to get so much done? For me, if you can think perhaps in a slightly different way in terms of time, don't manage my time in terms of physical time, in terms of a clock, if that makes sense. I actually measure things in how much energy I'm going to need to give that thing that I've committed to. So the reason why it's important to me to measure in energy is it very quickly allows me to assess whether I'm going to say yes to something or not. And let's assume I've said yes. The next thing about energy is giving it positive energy. If I've committed to do something for someone, let's say pick up some shopping for them. Now, if I am begrudging of the fact that I went and volunteered myself and I said I was going to do this shopping, and now I wish I hadn't, and now it's interfering with my day, and why can't they sort it out themselves? It could be a million things, million thought processes that are going through my mind. But instead, if I have made that offer that I'm going to do this quick shopping drop for someone because they're stuck, it's not really a problem because I'll coordinate it with something I'm already doing anyway. I'm probably going to the shops anyway. I probably need to get something for our household. It's been no big deal to add that to my day. It's not actually taken a lot of energy. I don't have to overanalyze it. It is what it is. Get it done, move on. It hasn't actually added anything to my physical time. And this is why I tend to measure things in, like I say, blocks of energy, and give things good energy. So to give another example of that, in the days when we used to be photographers, many photographers often give out raffle prizes, for example, to the local school fair or Christmas fair, something like that. But then of course they'd have the mindset when the recipient of that voucher comes in to cash in that voucher and actually have, let's say, a free photo session and a free print, which tends to be a typical offer in the photography world. They've already in their mind, as the photographer, decided this is a freebie hunter. Great, now this is going to waste 1 hour time of my shooting time. It's wasting my studio time. It's wasting my downloading and editing time, and now I've got to waste time presenting these to them. They're probably not going to buy anything anyway. Well, they probably fulfill that prophecy all by themselves, purely from their mindset and their behaviour. I was the opposite. Yes, I would give out these free vouchers because they work very well. However, I was proactive. When I was attending an event, I would actually see who was the person that picked that prize from the table. I'd then go and make a beeline for them, catch their details so that in a nice way they've actually met the photographer and know who they're going to be dealing with, quickly exchange details, because then I don't have to wait for them to contact me. I've already made the first move and they know who I am going to be. I would then follow that up and actually try and book them into the studio, but it never once occurred to me to treat them or behave in a way that made them feel that they were wasting my time or that they're not going to be a valued customer in the long term. I treated everyone the same, because actually the monetary value didn't really come into my mind. What I am doing is working to give that person the best possible experience of our studio and create the best images for them and their family. And 9 times out of 10, it was never a freebie hunter. They would always end up buying from us, but I'd like to think that's come from an authentic place, and we did not force them to do that. They chose to do that themselves. And this is why having good positive energy, it gives you tend to attract the same good positive energy back again on yourself. So how do we actually get organized to get these things done? Clearly, I use a diary, a digital diary. This has been our saving grace probably a good 10-12 years ago now, where Zara and I would have our own individual diaries, digital but just not synced together. And you can guess who was the person that always ended up having to move my commitments, because Azez managed to double book the diary, and it was always me that ended up having to move whatever was in the diary. It was just a nightmare. And to be honest, time is precious. It's bad enough trying to coordinate the diary once with somebody, more of a headache to have to keep going back and shuffling dates around. So like I say, around 12 years ago we use the Google Diary basically. Everything is color coded, as you've just seen. I know exactly what's an office thing, council or mayoral thing. I know which is the home life stuff. It's all clearly in the diary. Zara and I can see exactly where we are at any moment in time, and also where we both need to be present. Let's say for an online meeting, we know how we can manage that and keep an eye on each other's diaries. Following on from that, clearly list making is a big part of my day. I have got to say though, much as I love a good diary, pen and paper, you can't beat it. I actually tend to now use everything digitally. Yes, the diary's there for scribbling things down in as I go along, but everything ends up being a task of some nature, and for that we have chosen to use Asana. So our Asana project management system, anyone can go off and get that. Do look it up if you're struggling with managing many tasks and jobs and projects within your business. I actually use it for some of my personal things as well. I've got separate boards for, again, my mayor's work and sometimes even my personal stuff. It's just a great place to list everything out, and it means it doesn't get forgotten, because you can prioritize and put different dates, etc. in there, and makes sure that you keep on track. The third thing is prioritizing what you're actually going to do with your time. So for example, the last 2.5-3 weeks, the universe has thrown everything it possibly can at me personally, to be a time drain and a bit of a time vampire, and things that I have committed to, which all happen to hit me at the same time, and a couple of unexpected, quite major unexpected things which I couldn't have foreseen. However, the first thing I've done in these, especially the last 2 weeks, is prioritized who I'm actually going to manage within that time. The things that are the non-negotiables in the diary that have to happen when they're happening, because that's when they're booked to happen, I can't do anything about that. But then I can manage and control what I do either side of those bookings. So they've then taken priority. But the one that's gone to the bottom of the list are the many, many people that have tried to reach me through text, Messenger, WhatsApp, those 3 probably I would say, where I have not even responded. I will get round to it. They will get tidied up probably this weekend, but answering random queries on a text has not been my priority, because I've got some real things that are very important that need to be dealt with. If they're not dealt with, they're going to fall into that awful category of important and urgent. And personally, I don't like to work from a reactive space. I like to be proactive and keep on top of things. So in spite of things being very, very busy, out of necessity, even while I've been a little bit of firefighting the last 2 weeks, like I say, not my favourite space to work from, I've also, as I've been firefighting, adjusting and tweaking some of our systems, in particular some of the work practices that we had in place, because clearly there were some inefficiencies in there which were not helping the process. So I've actually, side by side with what I've been doing, improving some of the things that we needed to do in our working day, especially managing the team, because it only it's like a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and if we've got lots of weak links, we're just waiting for that chain to break. And so I've been doing everything I can to consolidate and make sure that those weakest links have been re-strengthened and reassessed to make sure that they're going to keep us moving. And the last one, finally, is communication. So a couple of the important things that couldn't have been ignored but couldn't necessarily have been dealt with, I've actually made sure that I've stayed in communication with those people, even if it's been 2 words to say, really stacked out, won't go into it now, but bear with me, you are on my list, don't worry. Just an acknowledgement is enough to let somebody know that you haven't forgotten them, especially the work side of things, to make sure that they are still kept in the loop, because there's nothing worse than just disappearing. So and I'll be very honest, for someone like me who likes to be absolutely on top of things, that can be a hard thing to do, to admit perhaps that actually I am also human. I am also facing all the same challenges that everyone else is through this pandemic in particular. But actually it was really liberating to sit down and actually reflect on myself and say, actually, you need to just deal with this, be honest about where it's coming from. You don't have to go into the ins and outs. There isn't time to go into the ins and outs, but just, say, just do that. And actually it was very liberating and very supportive. The messages that came back was like, totally get it, not a problem, as long as you're okay, carry on, and we'll catch up when we do. So I would really encourage, rather than procrastinating and stewing and worrying about something and causing yourself untold amounts of anxiety, you don't need to do that. You can actually take control, and you'll find that people are very, very sympathetic. We're all human, and we are allowed to sometimes just give ourselves that breathing space and not beat ourselves up so much. So it's all about me. Well, I say that in a humble way. I don't really mean that. What I mean is, as an individual, you really must prioritize your self-care, because without that, you are useless to yourself, and you are useless to all those people around you that may depend on you for many, many things. I've already gone through the many people in various walks of life or around me in my community, if you like. They're all in different pockets, but they all need me. And if that's the case, I need to make sure that I make the time to look after my own physical, mental and emotional well-being, so that I can then still give my best. Again, like I say, when my youngest in particular, it's really hard to, as a parent, to explain that you don't have all the answers. You don't know when this pandemic is coming to an end. You don't know when we can next go out and about and start enjoying ourselves. But that does not then become a focus point for me personally to start worrying about those things. They are beyond my control. All I can do is support my youngest and explain that whatever it is, we're going to get through it together. And as long as we've got each other, let's make sure we have some laughs. Let's make it a mission that every day we have some laughs. And there is nothing more healing than laughter. We as grown-ups don't do it enough at the best of times. At the moment, we're probably laughing a lot less. We have less to laugh about, maybe. But even if you're lucky enough to have a child around, even tickling that child and the laughter that creates, that then you laugh about, creates some great releases of hormones that will actually make you feel really positive. And something that both my daughters decided we were going to do was play Just Dance on YouTube. Rather embarrassing. I hope no cameras were in action, but we had a real giggle just doing the moves, and all just three of us standing in a row and just having a good old laugh about doing something a little bit silly and something we wouldn't normally do. Specifically, how do you keep yourself motivated? for me, again, it goes back to self-care, and some of those things that I do now regularly, which were a little bit hit and miss, were probably focusing on meditation. Even meditation doesn't have to be complicated. It's not something you have to necessarily follow a sequence. Meditation can be anything you want it to be. It could be 5 minutes in silence, sitting and breathing and regularizing your breathing. It could be listening to a guided meditation. There are so many apps online that you can do this with, and I make it a mission now that before I go to bed, even though obviously Zay's in the room, he probably doesn't even realize we do very different hours, the two of us, so he's not normally already asleep, because he's often waking up very early for the coaching calls at the moment on 2 days of the week. Whereas I'm a natural late bird, so I will tend to be up much, much later anyway. I just put my headphones in and away I go. Even though, it can be quite late, I make sure, even if it's a 10-minute or a 20-minute meditation, I will just allow myself to unwind. Because even as I may nod off part way through or start to drift off, I'll quickly switch it off. But if there's been a couple of minutes where I've not actually heard some of the words, subconsciously the words will have gone in. So it's important. I find I do actually get a much better night's sleep on the nights that I do this. So I've made this a regular practice now over the last few months. I didn't used to pre-lockdown. It was very hit and miss. Once in a blue moon I might meditate, but I am trying to make this more of a mission now. And if meditation is a step too far, mindfulness. We can all go about our daily lives thinking about the past, worrying about the future, but we forget to be present in the moment and enjoy that moment as it is and be grateful for what that moment is. And so even if you're out walking, I know lots of people like to listen to podcasts. Maybe that's their way of meditating or mindfulness. That might be helpful. But I'd suggest experimenting walking without a device, unless you need it for safety reasons and you're keeping a mobile on you, but without looking at that screen. Take in the sights, the sounds, the colours, the smells. Take in your environment and see that just slowing yourself down to pay attention and take notice of what's around you can be hugely beneficial to your emotional and mental well-being, and it's something that you can really start to get into. I've recently started in December mindfulness Pilates, which is giving me huge benefits physically, mentally and emotionally, because the physical release of stretching when I'm sitting slumped over a desk for way too many hours means that I am releasing all those muscles that needed to be stretched out. So that's that benefit. But actually the breathing side of things is actually helping to release feel-good hormones and regularize your breathing, just generally helping everything about your body. And if your body's feeling good, generally speaking, we probably emotionally feel better too. And let's face it, our thoughts affect our emotions and how we feel about something. So if we can start to think more positively, reframe how we are thinking, use positive language around not just other people but about ourselves in our own minds, it can be a huge benefit to you as to how you then react and how you feel about yourself and your day. And then a little tip for you, because I wanted to keep with the M word, a letter that kept coming up as I was preparing these slides. My suggestion for this week is create your personal mantra and repeat it throughout the day. And again, since the new year, not because it was the new year, just something I decided I would start. It just started to happen actually automatically. I suspect it's probably from the meditations that I'm doing. When I wake up in the morning, before I've even reached for my glasses, the first thing I do is a moment of gratitude. Thanks for the day that lies ahead of me and for allowing me to function, to perform in this day, and gratitude that I am able to do that and that the universe has supported me and that God is with me to make sure that I can perform and do what I need to do. And I make sure I do that every day, and also at the end of the day, thanks for allowing me to perform today and do everything I needed to do. What hasn't got done is okay. I can give myself permission. It will still be there tomorrow. I don't need to beat myself up about the things that didn't get done. I must remember to thank myself for all the many, many things that did get done. And that for me is something that I've started to practice. So I think we've come to the end of all my slides. Again, just a quick reminder of the Like a Boss program. I should just have a quick look to my side and see if there are any comments or anything that I need to take a look at. Thank you so much, Shop CS, for your lovely message. I hope you stay safe too. And you've also said you're using Asana and MS Teams. Yes, I do use Teams as well with one of my other hats actually. It's okay. I personally prefer the Google suite, but each to our own. If it's working for you, go for it. It's a case of being organised. And yes, I hope you're finding great usefulness in Asana. I know that we are still probably just barely scratching the surface with the power of Asana. You know, we are still setting up so many templates on our daily tasks. We are getting into using portfolios now as well, because that's going to be key in strategizing and keeping on top of projects. I'm still at the moment just getting my head around how we can actually use goals a bit more effectively, one of the newer features now. And I don't need to remind you, of course, there's the Asana Academy, great resource. And I hope you've managed to find it and use some of the webinars and programs that are on there. They're really, really good. So yeah, well done you for seizing that and getting on with that. And I've got a message from Renata. Hi Renata, lovely to see you here again. I hope you're getting some value out of the program. And of course, if there's anything else we can help you with, you know where we are. So thank you all for joining me today on this live. I hope you found it useful and something to think about over the weekend. And go give yourselves great energy, have a great weekend, and come back recharged and refreshed for your businesses on Monday. And I hope that you have every success in everything that you set out to do. Do join me again. I will be back next Friday, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you.